Yeah.
Voice isolation is, I don't know what that means. So we should be recording.
Okay.
Okay. All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to our March meeting, and want to remind everybody that it's being recorded. We don't have anybody remote. I don't see that Diane is remote, so something must have come up. Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order, and we'll start with the acceptance of reports. Ann always is very good about sending out the notes early, but if you just take a moment just to refresh your memory on it, and let me know if there's any changes you'd like. Your door. At the door.
Yes, that's-
Yeah.
I noticed.
Good morning. I know you have to run out to catch the train. It's no problem.
Thank
No
you.
problem. We appreciate the fact that you're making your day even longer.
Come in late, run out early.
No, it's okay.
It's not personal.
Catch your breath, and you're wearing your green.
Ian reminded me of one change.
Okay? We'll give everybody another second or so. Okay, Amy wants to make one change via Ann.
Yes, this is regarding programming. Tai Chi will be added on Tuesdays in addition to Wednesdays. Here it says Wednesday along.
And which page are you on?
This is on the last page. You have a third sentence.
Oh, yeah, Tai Chi pole.
It should say Tuesday along with Wednesday.
Okay, so we're adding Tuesday along with Wednesday. Okay, does anyone else have any comments on it, any changes, any suggestions? No, can I have a motion to accept it, please?
Make a motion to accept the minutes.
Carol and Donna seconded. All in favor? Aye. I'm gonna make sure you can keep up with us because you're not normally taking the notes. The treasurer's report. Carol, that would be you.
26, COA gift account, donations. There was an anonymous donation for $110. Expenses, a condolence gift, dish garden for $65.47. The food pantry account, donations of $600. 3 were personal donations for $150. Casual for a cause day.
Excuse me a second. What 150 was the total? Was the total? Because you only have 600 as the
Right.
total amount.
I'm sorry, I should say totaling 150.
Yeah, so that's the total amount.
Yeah. Okay.
So Dean Bank, casual for a cause day, $200. PIDC.
What is that, Amy?
That's a Milford business. This is the second time they did that. They did this earlier this year. They're acknowledging a Mendon employee by sending a donation to our food pantry.
Oh, nice.
So it's Chris Larson.
Is our resident?
Yes.
Well, thank you, Chris.
Oh, that was very nice.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So that is the treasurer's.
Okay, thank you.
No expenses in the food pantry for,
All right. That'll be coming, I'm sure.
it will be.
We're in pretty good shape right now anyway. That's wonderful. May I have a motion, please, to accept the treasurer's report? Bill, second? Diane, second? Yeah. All in favor? Aye. Give you a few minutes. Okay, director's report. Amy, you're on board?
I'm just gonna mention a few things
Sure.
here, because the rest is just, so, it recently came to our attention that Tri-Valley was going to be having procedural inspections at their congregate sites. They sent us a very detailed list of everything that we have to, every requirement that we have to meet. And so Shauna, Diane, and myself have been going through them, and for the most part, we're in compliance. There were a couple of things that we were lacking. And so good thing is, one of the things we were lacking was an evacuation plan in the event of a fire or a tornado. So I immediately called Mark Bucchino, who's our emergency management person. Within 2 days, he had a very good draft of the plan. I made a couple, suggestions, put to add phone numbers and whatnot there. And he was going to go back. There was one part I didn't quite know. It says where people are to go in the event of a fire on the property. And I'm like, was that the front of the building, the side of the building? And so he was going to talk to the chief, fire chief, about that. So it was a good thing that, as a result of doing this detailed, making sure that our facilities are up to snuff, and then having to do this. So it's something that we didn't have in place.
Now, also on that, once it's done, you should post it on the ground floor and on the upper floor,
So-
along with exit signs.
So there's a couple different parts, yes.
In the basement too, correct?
Couple different parts. So that will be coming. So right now it's the physical report and a 1-page flyer that gives quick directions about the kind of chain of command type of thing. And then, yes, there will be a map on each floor.
Yeah, you are here
Yes.
and the way out.
Who was in charge of that?
Mark Bucchino with emergency management.
Just curious, where did you put your area of rescue for upstairs?
He hasn't done that yet.
Okay.
He hasn't done that yet.
And your gathering places?
Again, outside, that's what I had a question about too. It was a little bit vague the way it was written. I'm waiting to hear back from him. He emailed the fire chief.
Yeah, you need to be on the grass.
Not where the fire trucks.
Not where the
run
fire
around.
trucks-
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, because it was big. It said to the side of the building and which side of the building, so he's working on that.
Also, I'm just thinking of back when I was working. One person, usually it was the director, has to take the sign-in sheet with them when they leave, and you do a roll call. We do not know who's in the building.
Well, through My Senior Center, we can access My Senior, so that's why it's very important for people to sign in through My Senior Center, which we can access on our
But
phones.
we don't sign out.
True.
What I'm saying is
Yeah, I see what you're.
somebody could be upstairs in the office
Mhm.
with Jen. And we wouldn't, you don't know. I mean, we'll have to go into a little bit further down, but I like your question about, where is the second floor gonna go? We're providing parachutes or one of those throw down things.
Well, the second floor has a door. When they come down 4 steps, it's got a door right there.
Right.
But second floor.
But yeah, that's good that they told us about that, because we haven't given that any thought.
And so, and the other thing I just wanted to bring to your attention, if you happen to read the newsletter on the back page, we've included the Brothers of the Brush are having their flag program, which is every other year. So we've been some big space. Which is, it's nice because last year, their off year, people had come to the center and asked about it. And again, so this is the year. If you want to do something to remember someone, a flag, please contact the brothers. So, and everything else I'll just do.
Is it just for memorials or is it
No,
businesses too? I don't know. I mean, I see them up, but, well, I know for sure that they do that, but I just don't know if it's other businesses. All right, no problem. Okay, thank you. Carolyn or Karen, whichever wants to do it? The Friends of Mendes report?
For our meeting held on March 9th. And if you want to pass that round to Amy so that she doesn't have to.
Thank you, Karen.
I do the same thing for Joanne.
There were 2 new members present. The treasurer's report and the secretary's report were accepted. We now have 24 lifetime members, which makes Joanne's life easier and undoubtedly the 24 lifetime members. Council on Aging report and director's report were given by PEG, there was an inquiry as to where bottle and can money was going and whether it is still used for transportation. President's report, birthday bash, March 17th, featuring the music of P.E. James and serving homemade shepherd's pie. The bingo is to start on May 20th and going forward the third Thursday of each month. There are 4 applications for the scholarship so far. We have a history presentation, March 31st, and it is a visit from the Museum of Work and Culture of Woonsocket, from a grant by Landmark Medical Centre and the Rhode Island Historical Society. The committee reports, Friends Lunch Bunch, March 18th is going to TJ's of Ashland, and the Senior Centre van is to be used for transport. Sunshine Committee sent 1 condolence card. Travel Committee's been very busy. First trip of the year is June 17th, the Cape Cod train. August is the Plymouth Harbour cruise. September, they're all off to Portland, Maine. And the latest booking is in October for the New Bedford Whaling Museum. Bev promises lots of interesting information on the drive there. It was the wealthiest city, I think, in the world at one point. Cooking class is to be a 40 event. First one is to be held on Friday, March 17th.
27th, not 17th.
27th, that's all right. I've got stuck on my party, haven't I? Featuring healthy ingredients. And menus will be adapted to cater for allergies and cooking for fun. BJ's membership, at present there are 4 memberships available, members in good standing. Yard sale, the advertising money is coming in, reiterating that June 6th is the date for the townwide yard sale. The next Friends meeting will be April 13th, and the next board meeting, March 27th at 9:30.
When are you gonna start taking collections for the yard sale?
May, and that I will have out early next,
How's that okay?
before 12.
Between 9 and 12.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Just want to write in some of those dates that you just gave. Okay, any old business? We're going to start with the food pantry update, Amy. That would be you, including the Eagle Scout project.
Yeah, so the Eagle Scout came in, took measurements based on the shelving that Phil had, provided to us. He's going to be doing up a drawing for us to consider. He said, once we approve, that's what's going through. My only concern was there no backing on those shelves, and that's the food pantry volunteers are pretty specific, so that,
Are they freestanding against a wall or
these
they're
are in
just?
the center of the.
Yeah, I would
pantry.
think you'd want some kind of backing on that. Can we have him include that? The scout?
Yeah.
Pardon me? Yeah, because someone could be walking by and it gets hit in the head or something next thing.
It falls over,
Yeah.
so, but that's the only thing, but
You need-
we did postpone last week's food pantry distribution on Friday due to the weather. Wednesday, Thursday, they kept talking about, I don't know what it was like over here, but they kept talking about snow and ice starting, at like 4 in the afternoon, going through 6 in the morning, and I waking up going, is it snowing yet? And but everybody was contacted except for one person who turns out they changed their phone number, and we didn't have
Oh,
notice of that. So, but everybody else was told that it would be this Friday, so. So that's good, but so far we have three new households
Okay,
that have joined us.
well, with the price of groceries and things, I'm not surprised. I would think you'd have more,
Right.
and money's.
And we have
stretch.
continued to give food. We've given more food to Trinity Church for the meals that
Yeah,
they do.
appreciate it too.
Some more vegetables and whatnot.
Good.
We've
Very much.
Woonsocket Soup Kitchen, they just can't say thank you enough to, so just trying to share before, we try
Better to
keep
share
the
it.
dates.
Yeah, you don't
The
want things to be
2026.
expired, because I know you can't, even if it's a day. But so that's wonderful. The budget, you and I and Phil went to the
Yeah.
meeting and talked, but I'll let you talk
Yeah, I
about
just want to
that.
say thank you to Phil for the work you put in.
Yes, he did.
To the presentation. I think it was well received. I think what I heard, Bill, is I heard folks say they were surprised. They didn't know how much we did at the center. So, But yeah, again, thank you for pulling that PowerPoint together. I think we were like, because of the weather, unfortunately, we couldn't meet on Monday like we were supposed to.
Yeah, or Tuesday.
Or Tuesday, and so I know we had a few, things that needed to be worked out, but so be it, next time we'll know.
Yeah, make it a little shorter next time.
Yeah, a little shorter.
One of the things we did do with the report, which I thought was good, is we converted the volunteer hours to minimum wage money and showed them how much actually the volunteers are contributing. And it was like half of our,
$30,000.
it was $30,000.
About what our expense, I know.
So it's good for them to see that.
Volunteer hours equals about $30-some thousand. Food pantry account and the Friends, the Friends equal like 12 to
COA.
COA and food pantry equals another 30,000. And then the Friends kick in somewhere between 7 and 12,000. So the town is paying operationally less than 1/3 operational. So there's a lot of good volunteers in the town, which kind of offsets costs.
Right, and we have never recognized that before in a monetary sense. So that was an eye opener for them.
So when we first started my senior center wanted us to give different dollar amounts to different types of volunteering. And it's hard. Those that are saying, doing Shine or something that's a little bit more professional, it is hard. So, but I will say about the meeting, I was pleasantly surprised that the select board had ideas for us. The electric vehicle, they wanted us to consider our next vehicle to be an electric vehicle, a small van with a handicap accessible ramp. And so 2 members they're on board, so.
Yeah, Mike Morelli was one.
Jason, we don't have to go to the select board asking for this. This is something that they're already.
If we get it, Mike can get that. He's got the influence. Electric.
Because sometimes the van isn't full,
Right.
the van's 13 passenger and it's taking 1 person or 2
Right,
people.
right.
Whereas if we had a smaller car, as long as the person was able to get in and out comfortably.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's too small.
Oh, yeah, no.
It's hard to fit like a walker in there and whatnot. I will say there were a lot of questions, I thought, at the meeting, a lot of good questions and good answers. So,
Mhm.
thank you.
Yeah, so can I just add,
Yes,
I do think people really appreciated the numbers, like having, I know it's been presented before, but the numbers of community members who use the center, the calls, like all of that information that I know you shared here, but I think it was good for the select board and the public to hear that as well.
Yes.
And so I think it would be good we can get like a little encapsulated version of that
Sure.
to share like at some point.
Yeah.
I think that's really good information.
I think Phil took it and he kind of did it in a different format, which kind of threw me off a little bit just because I'm so used to this, this linear form. But yeah, so that's in our annual report.
we've added
every
that.
year.
Right, oh, good. Oh, it's new, is it new to the annual?
No.
Oh, it's not, yeah, because I remember you shared the numbers, but I
Similar
think,
to the library does it, I think the police department does it. I'm
Right.
sure the fire department does it. They, show how many different calls they have. It's
Right,
important for
right.
people to know.
but I do think, yeah, the annual report, probably many people do not read the whole thing.
No stop.
Yeah, so anyhow, just something to think about, moving forward. I think it's like, even just like a 1-page type, like amount of information for the general public to just have. I don't know for what purpose yet, but I think it was
Well,
good information.
It could be put into even to mailed out in a local paper that goes into every household.
Yeah, or the guy that's doing the online
Yeah.
newsletter.
Yeah.
And I know we don't tell you this enough, but we really do appreciate you being our advocate and coming to our,
Liaison, yeah.
liaison. I really do. Because it's nice, you're looking and it's like, oh, well, I know her and she knows what we do.
Well, thank you.
Maybe another thing might be Jerry has started that
Mhm.
newsletter.
Yes,
Some of the departments may figure out something for us next.
sure.
I don't know what it is, but maybe we check
Yeah.
it.
I get it quarterly. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he has a plan to include all of the departments at some point.
Yep.
So yes, I don't know the schedule yet myself, so.
Okay. Anybody else, anything on that? Nope. Okay. Maintenance and housekeeping, Amy?
So the kitchen, we had a deep clean of appliances. I had one very happy Tri-Valley volunteer yesterday say, I have never seen that stove so clean. We have one more thing to do, but Dan Byer was in yesterday. He had a piece of wood that he had to insert down below. We had a piece of, what's it called? Not wallboard, but, at the bottom. Baseboard, yeah. Said that he, so I think that was as far as the Board of Health was concerned, but there's, and he wants to, Dan will stain it to match. But, as far as Board of Health is, we're A-okay, except for under the stove. And Peg gave me a phenomenal idea. I've got my yardstick and a sock.
Yeah,
Because
that's what I do at my house.
Yeah, Board of Health agent got down on the floor and said, everything was good except for under here. So,
He knows we're elderly people, right?
yes. So
Once you're down, you can't get up.
I think we're in pretty good shape there. We're still waiting on, I think I'll go over after this meeting to the Board of Health. They have a standard list that they give to restaurants of all the things that need to be checked on a regular basis. So, I've asked repeatedly for that, but I know they're busy. So I think I'll go over there in person and see if I can get it.
Are we using volunteers for this? What are we?
No, I'm sorry, that was our custodian. He charged us 2 regular like maintenance fees. So I think it was $166 or something to that effect.
So that's not in the new thing we have with the town where everybody's got the same cleaner?
No, what we all pay our own. So actually it was 126. It was 126 to do the deep cleaning. Pull the refrigerator
It's
out.
not bad at all.
Fridge, no, it's not at all. And so the library uses him in that capacity too, for their regular, this is Steve Hanley. Some of you may know his father, Don Hanley. The library uses him in that capacity. He's their regular custodian and then he does, projects for them too.
All right.
No, very, very pleased he did.
Can't you pull the stove out? To clean underneath.
I'm sorry, what?
Can't you pull the stove out?
Have you
No,
seen
they're
that sucker?
propane. They're propane.
Yeah, well, they must have been pulled out to put them in.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had gas stoves, you just pull them out. There's a
This is like a
flexible pipe.
this is a heavy, aren't those heavy stoves?
She didn't expect us to do that. They've been cleaned around and throughout and just once underneath.
So you couldn't clean behind it either.
Can I ask a question? If you pull out this
Did you
drawers underneath, if you pull those out, then you could get underneath the stove, but then it's getting down on your hands and knees.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they come out, but I'll check on that.
Because that's the old fashioned warmer. And I use that as storage for cookie sheets and things like that, like a lot of people do. At least people I know, they don't use it as a warmer, that's a storage area.
Right.
You use it as a warmer? Yeah. I know, they just go in there so you'd be emptying. Well, if we put the money to pay someone to do it,
$126.
then let's do it, because we don't want anybody
Right.
having to be cleaning. All right, Phil, I think you're next. It's status of the abacus study.
May, April or May, but May realistically, the final. And we'll see what happens. They have multiple locations, they have recommendations. We're gonna come here. His plan is also then to present these things to the Board of Select Board. He should be coming to us first. I asked him to do that at the Select Board meeting on Thursday. And so he should present to us. We'll be able to give him some input. So when he goes to the Select Board, he'll have a full picture, including our input. The study's fine, but they need operational input.
Yeah. And it's not a heck of a lot cheaper than what we've been asking for, because the prices are going up. You have to have the skilled labor, you have to, the prevailing wages. Just what he told us, what he was showing us that night.
Yeah, and it's still looking at one. There's an in-place possibility.
Right.
We thought it was cheaper, so we'll see. I don't know. As long as they solve the problem, I don't really care what, but parking has to be included.
And
You can build
sooner,
a building, but you can't park there, it doesn't make any sense.
right.
You wasted 10.
Well, people will just drive through and just drive home.
You're not gonna get anybody.
They're not gonna want to cross that street. Most people do not want to cross that street.
So, but anyway, hold on, it's coming. Probably May timeframe, we'll hear it. As we said, I think we won't see anything until 27 timeframe before the people release.
Yeah, are you talking-
But Karen,
What about the schools?
You mean the school
They got-
operational override?
Do I have them?
oh, I didn't hear that. They got 30 million from, the meeting.
So,
Well,
right, there were the debt exclusions last year that were specifically for the capital projects, and those are independent of the operational question. So the school committee just certified the budget on Monday, and so now it's up to the towns to decide what to do. So officially, the town has not actually made a decision because there has not yet been a select board meeting since that budget hearing. So,
We're still looking at the $2 million number.
so
Just curious.
1.8, wasn't it?
what's that?
It was 1.8.
So that's not clear. So because what the school is asking for, so there's already expectation that a lot of the town budget is going towards the school. So it's that I don't know what the difference will be between what the town can manage under that 2.5 levy limit. So like, I don't have that number. But you know, it does seem like it's a lot. Like there's not, the town does not have enough to cover the school budget as presented without an override. But the amount that might be, like, we don't know yet, so.
I think it's interesting, and if anyone hasn't subscribed to the Mendon Commons, he did a very thorough write-up on what the school committee's request was. So it was awesome. I was surprised that over 37% of the budget goes to insurance.
Right, and that
That's a
number
big
has
cost,
increased
yeah.
a lot. So it's not just the rates that have gone up, but more employees have enrolled. And which I wonder if that has to do with, there have been a lot of layoffs, so there might be families that had
Insurance.
other insurance and then now have to shift to the employee. I don't know, but it's a much bigger increase than is typical year to year, like something like a 29% increase from last year just in insurance.
is this going to be at the town meeting, talked about at the May town meeting, or is it too soon?
Yes, well,
Yeah,
it will
oh.
be, yes,
But voted on at the town meeting?
yes. And most likely, well, so the whole budget will be voted on in the town meeting, the whole town budget, which includes the school district budget. And then most likely there will be a ballot question as well.
Okay.
That is
Alrighty.
yet to be determined, but signs indicate.
Okay, grant updates, Phil?
Three grants went in, we have one from IBM. I would expect them to hear by now, so we might not be getting that one. The one for the Matters Cafe is in evaluations this month. The third one went into AARP for equipment
Right.
and classes for literacy on computer technology.
And if we got that, we would get computers and laptop, things like
We
that.
get laptops that would be designated to the senior center.
Right.
That would be on loan, people to use, now train, kind of wean them into it. So that was the value of, I want to say $17,000. The one for the education portion from IBM, which I don't think we're going to get because I haven't heard anything, was $5,000. And then the memory matters was 50-some thousand, 55 to 60,000.
And I want to give a shout out to the 3 kids that come and help with the one-on-one technology from
Yes.
Nipmunk High School.
And I wish they would get some of their younger underclassmen.
Interested, yeah, because they're all seniors.
So I have not heard back from UMass, the UMass grant for the stroke programs. I was expecting that it was going to be not wrapped up, but the end of February. I will call and follow up on that. I did just sign off on the senior safety grant, which is something through the Mendon Fire Department. They are, they do educational programs for us, but then also for the schools. And they have, Karen, I'll get in touch with you. They have asked, because they had to cancel in the fall and they would sorely apologize. They just said Mondays didn't work, but they are available Mondays now and wanted to see if they could set up an appointment date or for a friends meeting.
Okay. 2025 Senior Annual Report and Statistics.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I just made enough for COA member, so it's still in a draft form. Girl.
Oh, no. Yeah, this one must be.
Because you're sitting with Veronica, I need for you to
We can look on, you and I can look on together.
This is the same thing.
I know, I'll give one for them to share. Who didn't get one?
I can't.
You're gonna share, okay? You guys will share it out. You got one to share? Okay, everybody, so that everybody sees it? Okay.
And so I want to thank Earl and Peg for assisting and Joe. Ooh, verbiage. Our consultant.
Now, we're reading this, but what do you want from us on this?
I need to send this over to, they're working on it today. They're working on it.
Okay.
Yes, the booklet today, so I need a.
If you see any typo errors or,
It's been spell checked a couple times by human and also, machines.
all right, I'll give you some peace and quiet.
You want us to read the whole thing?
Yeah, it's like 5 pages. Well, it was on my phone, on my thing, it was like 5 pages.
Yeah, the last page is just paragraph,
Okay.
if that.
On the final page, total people served,
Mhm.
is that total visits rather than people served?
Yes, that's the way that the state records it. We can change that if we need to.
I think it's confusing,
Mhm.
so I think the verbiage should be changed.
Is there room for a footnote to say this is like,
That's the contact or the corrections.
So they call it unduplicated, or duplicated people served. That would be duplicated.
It's not. It's not. It's not okay. You go 3 times a week, exercise, it's killing 3 times. So that's why it's like I use it.
And for Mendon Brothers of the Bush,
Mendon of the brush.
it says it's
Mendon.
Yeah, that's how that's their spelling of it. That's the original. Yeah,
Thank you. Everybody questions that, but
and that's their,
That was
Mendham,
that's their handle.
Mendon.
Mendham.
Oh, I'm still something, still reading it, something. Oh, I think you captured everything in it that we do. We gave appreciation and thanks to everybody who helps us. Anybody have any suggestions? Anybody have any comments on it?
probably one stray punctuation mark.
Oh, I'm sure there are a few.
Well, so like in the beginning where they, in the italics.
Yeah,
Oh,
I saw that.
amended, yeah.
That backslash Mendon,
I think
okay.
you knew
Yeah, you
that.
noticed that too. Okay, I mean, it's funny, it's really easy to read past, so it would be not that bad if it.
No, I
was
tried that.
You saw that as well.
And you know, sometimes there's like a yellow dot because what I do is I've highlighted portions that I wanted Peg and Earl to review, and sometimes I don't retract all the yellow.
Oh.
But I saw that, so what I had to do is I took, Jeremy spent a lot of time last year modifying everybody's annual report. So I took last year's report, making sure the margins were like his. He chose this, this centered thing there. And so that's probably when I went to center it yesterday, it probably got stuck there or I hit it or something.
Yeah.
Yep, but I've got that circle thing.
Okay.
There's a few extra commas, but just let them go.
Well, no, you know what? The commas, oh my gosh, spell check.
I'm a fan of the Oxford comma, so I
printed out one comma and she said, no, that's not.
I'm team Oxford comma.
I am too, but, and also Jeremy does not like two spaces after a period. He only wants one. So, and the computer,
I'd say it's a go.
okay, so I'll make that change. I will change the wordage on that last page. Statistics page, good. And
Thank you all for that.
Thank you all.
Okay, volunteer appreciation. Now, my team is Donna, I believe, right? Carol, did anyone else volunteer to help with that? To talk about the theme and all that, because we'll have to have a separate meeting in the future. Just three of,
so I think it was the three of us.
okay, that's fine. Oh, and Amy, I meant stairway members.
Yeah.
Okay,
Diane, you were not on it.
I don't think it was. Did I?
I don't think so. I think it was just,
We'll utilize you day of.
Okay.
yeah. Well, where it's the volunteer appreciation, don't we wait on people too? Are we the waiters?
No, I know, I
We
try
use new
to
people?
Try to use new, and forgive me for saying this, but Hala's one of our newest. Hala does so much, but like last year we had Lisa and Mary McDougal, and
Yes.
Lisa Hurley. They were brand new to the center, so that's what I do try to do. Yeah, so, no, we'd like to have you all be appreciated too. You
Okay.
know, and, we talked about certain days, we're trying to minimize the, this, lessen the disruption at the center. And Peg and I looked at dates, we looked at, Thursday, I believe was the 28th of May, and that unfortunately wasn't available for, a potential entertainer,
So you're moving it to the 27th?
yeah. Which works on the calendar. It's Wednesday.
Is there exercise or anything that day?
There is. It's
We'll have
gonna
to-
be Tai Chi that morning.
Okay, and we're looking to do like 11 to 1, is that what we're looking to do?
Yeah, usually.
All right. All right,
We can talk about it if we want to change it 12 to 2, that's a possibility too.
some,
I did make a request at the meeting that you've included the board and members of the Friends at the volunteer, because we're no longer just fundraising. And I know you've got your parameters, but we're doing so much of our effort now is focused on the programs.
I'm glad I was going to raise that in new business, but that's okay. Yes, that came up at the meeting on Monday. I explained that the grant is specifically for senior center volunteers.
Correct.
And if they do all 100% Friends activities, they wouldn't fall under that umbrella. But we did say we would.
Oh, but for where they're doing activities, they should be recording their hours, for special events and things like
Because
that.
we print that and
In the
that's where we
computer,
get.
there's something there for Friends special events. There's a prompt for that. So, because that's not fundraising. The state does not acknowledge, not that they don't acknowledge, they do not reference people that fundraising efforts are not to be included in volunteer appreciation. However,
I would suspect 95% of your efforts is non-funded.
Right. And what I said is there was really very few people who were on the Friends boards and things that we
Right.
didn't include
Right.
that because very few.
and there's 20, like similar to the scholarship, there's 25-hour, minimum of 25 hours is what's required for someone to be.
So we have to make sure that when they come in to do something other than fundraising, that they use my senior center.
I think that I personally have never, until the last time I logged in for something. Shauna said to me, Karen, you need to put it in special events. I have never used special events, and I think that's probably the case for most of the people in France.
We'll bring that up at your board meeting so that all of the board people know and probably at the next meeting.
Most of my stuff is done at home, you know,
It's okay.
organized.
That's still ours. That's still ours. It's off-site.
Oh,
If we have
yeah,
meetings here,
yeah.
like this meeting here is off-site,
But how
but that'll
are
be
you,
put in.
how are you logging it in there?
They go down there, there's COA meeting down there. It's on the prompt, COA board member meeting or.
I suppose we'd have to look at what is on there for the categories and see if there's one that we should add.
There are a lot of categories. Friends special events, COA special events.
Okay, so Friends special events, but it's got to be non-financial. It has to be not
No.
fundraising.
Well, no, the fundraising ones say, what do they say? Fundraising, I think, If they wanted to capture those numbers, they could.
You automatically add us for Wednesdays, because a lot of times we don't stop by the senior.
You know who I am? One of our senior workers. So I will give her the report that Ann does, and she'll look there and she'll go on the computer. And if you're in there, great. If you're not, she'll add you.
She's checking it.
Yeah, like if you went in for Panera this morning,
I didn't, but yes.
but if you just say, if you did, you'd hit Panera and you'd hit COA, because you know you're
Volunteer.
coming here.
Yeah, yeah.
And I do COA and Mahjong, because I'll be there this afternoon. Sure.
Just maybe sit down with a friend to recover everybody. Because it could be just a matter of plugging into that data or driving it off a report that people get. I know personally, I go in there and I just say hours. I don't push for anything. I'm not good at putting in. I'm not disciplined enough to do that. And I think there's a lot of people like, you go in, try to get your hours in, but I don't do it for men necessarily. I don't know if I'm attending or if I'm helping, I don't know if I do it.
So are you putting in your hours for projects?
Yeah, I do sometimes. I do
Like the work you did on that?
Yeah, I do. I aggregate it up.
Yep, good.
But I'm not sure that, I may not have enough hours to be volunteer. Appreciate it.
Well, you've got at least 2 per month by coming here, you know, and then you.
But I guess we should take a look at this. Anybody that has logged in at
Okay,
any time, we should sit down and scrub that list to make sure, say, oh, this person obviously does more than. Don't.
We do print it. We do print, and we get those hours from whatever the highest number is, like right down to 0.
I guess.
We do that. We do that. Yeah, and like, I'm going to use Kay Holmes for an example. It's like, oh, she's a minstrel, you know, maybe she forgot to put her,
she's also a friendly visitor.
and see, is that a thing on there? Friendly, okay.
Mhm.
Anyway, we have money in our COA account to cover the expenses of people. So we'll work on that. We'll work on that. Because we do appreciate what everybody does.
Yes, for sure.
It hasn't been in the past. 30, we say 35 is pretty much our top with the tables. Diane?
35 is what we like.
Yeah,
I mean, we have a lot more, obviously, last year we had 63 volunteers. Some of them are students that maybe won't come.
some of them work,
Some of them work.
some of them just don't want to be recognized. We've
Right.
got a lot of them that just say, no, I'm the unsung hero. Yes, Kathy?
Is it possible to get these things on the categories that are there?
Sure.
Because I don't know, I don't know. So it's like.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was gonna ask the same thing, if we could have a list.
Yeah, that would
Right,
be great.
and then will the Friends volunteers hours be noted differently on here,
What's that?
on this service, your service units report?
That's anybody who's in the system for, again, friends, the friends aren't in there for fundraising. That doesn't include any fundraising hours.
No, for the program hours. Those would go under special events for Friends.
No, well, no, they're pulled together.
Maybe we should have like a snapshot of the pages that the friends would more than likely be attending those things so that they'll know what to look for. Yeah, can that be done? Maybe Shauna can do that. Yeah. Because when I can't find something either, I just switch it over to volunteer hours. All right, okay, that's good, good suggestions. We don't want to leave anybody out that should be there. It's just that is what that grant specifically says. Okay, upcoming and follow-up programming. Amy?
I want to say thank you to Earl and
Oh,
thank
yes,
you, yeah,
please.
thank you to Wayne for both their programs on Valentine's, for our Valentine's program. Our intergenerational program was, I think, a big success. I did have a few people come that had also gone to, I don't know, Carolyn, if you went to Upton too, or just to Mendon. A few people went to Upton, and so I got to hear, well, it was, maybe, I think it was a little bit more fluid than I had expected. Like, I didn't realize that the teacher was gonna have all the students get up and mingle and try to show people. They never told us that people should have phones that, and I understood the purpose of that. They wanted to show you where to find this podcast on the school's website. But that was never explained to us. But we still have some of the slips of paper that we can give to people so that they can look it up. So we didn't actually watch the podcast. We just saw a couple seconds of, them talking about it. But the kids, she wanted the children, the teenagers to mingle with the seniors and work, to show them how to find things on their phones. I just got an email from her the day before, I didn't, really have a lot of time to plan. But I still thought the interaction was good. I think people appreciated it. I know Diane was trying really hard to keep track of who was coming because some people hadn't signed up or.
Yeah,
we have-
others were, it was just, I think it was Carolyn, you put down 6 craft people coming. And so I'm sitting there, all right, who are the craft people and who are just walk-ins? And so I'm trying to
Yes, I'm in the craft group and I said, have you all registered? And they all looked at me and I said, okay, I'm just phoning Sean and this.
Yeah, I'm not running around asking these people, you know, did you sign in?
So we could just put them in as guests,
Yeah.
just put them in as guests, but I think we had a fair number of the people that were interviewed there. And so that was good. I think it was kind of exciting for them to be acknowledged. I don't know if anybody's had a chance to go in and look at any of them.
I've watched all of them.
Have you?
My biggest impression was their parents protected them from this, from the war. That they really,
Had a childhood?
yes.
That's nice.
Yes, I guess.
Because I think my parents' recollections were not these, but these were all younger.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so the one thing that has been asked of us is if we can show these, like, to the couple of the participants that maybe, like, for example, hopefully he doesn't mind my using his name, Warren Goodnow came in yesterday and I said to him, I said, have you heard your podcast? And he said, no, I haven't. He said, well, could I? So, you know, as Sean suggested, maybe in a quiet environment, have people watching them. Very good. And that the students have, there's music, mood music in the
Yeah.
background. It really sets the tone. And so I think it was really nice. But anyway, that was, the teacher is hopeful to do more intergenerational programs in future years. Next year, I think they said they're going to be working on the Vietnam War. Is that correct? Does anybody, do you remember that?
I think that was one of the.
That was one of the Korean War. So yeah, so it's nice to have a connection with that teacher. She was.
Can I just say something? Wouldn't people have to be in the 90s to have memories from? Okay, because I'm 83 and I was born in 43 and I was, you know,
So
I couldn't have taken part in something like that, even though I was born during the war years.
these people were in their late 80s and 90s. So they might have started the war at 3 years old, but it might have been 7 when it finished. So, and
You'll
then,
be Korea,
yeah, and then,
you'll be Korea, Vietnam.
And actually, Earl, they were asking things like, you know, what did they play with and what was their life like then? So
Maybe
it wasn't
give
just
to
the
the audience.
wars, although of course it was the war, but you know, it was, what was their life like as a young child?
Yeah. No, I'm just thinking though, you would have to have been, like you said, in the late 80s, early 90s. Because I'm 83 and I certainly wouldn't have any memories, even though I was born in 43, which was towards the end of the war.
right, so what we did was for several months, we had it in the newsletter, we had it in the newspaper, we were scouring, you know, the area, trying to find people that would, so we got somebody, thanking Carolyn, we had someone from Grafton who was in her 90s. Well, she may not admit it. We have a couple people, we have two couples from Upton that one was in Denmark. He was in-
Yes,
Yes, so para, and we, you know, unfortunately, he wasn't able to make it in person, but he had filled out the survey and then also met with the students, you know, via telephone, Zoom or something to that effect, and his profile was done up as well, so very, very interesting, so again.
The one memory I have, I just happened to think was the one that my mother gave me, was that when my father came back from World War II in 43 or 44, she dressed me up in a little army uniform or something and took me to meet him at the station when he came in. But I, you know, my memory was her memory.
Is there a picture of you?
we all want to see it now.
We talked that day about perhaps, you know, scheduling a time
Mhm.
and having a general meeting or having a program that makes that available to everybody and let people sign up and come.
Okay,
Because people, and I think the bad thing was that there's a generational gap there. All of these kids were, well, you can get it on your phone, and the seniors are going, the hell with my phone.
Right. The devil's
You know,
device.
can we, and so it really is, it's much, I watched it on the computer. We sent it out to all of the members. We sent the link out to all of the Friends members. And I just thought, I looked at it on the phone and it was just, I think, much more impactful on the computer.
sure.
So if we can put it on the TV, as small as the TV is.
yeah, we can look at dates in April. April would be a good month to do that. Good,
All right, the birthday bashes.
I want to say, I think
Oh.
that all practical purposes, they've been going along very well. The Friends have really stepped up and I think people really enjoy them, so. And hopefully the dates are working out okay. Judicial outreach, don't have a huge sign up so far. I think wanted to say maybe 7 people so far. Hopefully we'll get more because we had a pretty good turnout last year.
What was the date? What's the date?
That is the 25th, Wednesday, the 25th of March.
Okay.
That if I ever have to go before the courts, I hope he's my judge. He's really cool and yeah, definitely. If you want to know what the day in the life of a judge is like, come to that.
Cooking with Betsy and Don, huh?
I think we're just about at capacity. I think Betsy said yesterday, she told us yesterday 24 was her max and we were at 20 yesterday. So we've got a few more spaces there. Ukulele lessons, I think we're up to 16 and that's grant funded, partially grant funded, most grant funded. And then we've got one more TED Talk, Tech Talk, and that's
When are they coming?
April 6th. April 6th. And unfortunately, we didn't have that date until just the other day, because these children, these teens are graduating, so we're fortunate to have them one more. But we had a very good turnout, I thought, this last.
And that's usually at 3 after music, after the minstrels end.
Yes, on Monday.
Yep.
Mendon Fire Department, again, would like to come for a friends meeting, talk about some of the programs they offer. Police Department, we're not trying, but we are getting dates together to give to the chief where our HR department has requested that we look into a Coffee with Cops program, a couple dates in April.
I guess there will also be donuts then.
Yeah, yes. I haven't gotten it confirmed and I did want to talk to the friends if, you think of coffee early in the morning, if it's possible, April 13th before your meeting, if they're there to meet with people before even your refreshment time, and then during refreshment time, would that be a possibility?
So you're saying like 9:30, because the meeting starts at 10:30.
Yes,
Yeah.
And socialization usually is around 10.
yes.
Yeah, 9:30 could work. And then I just talked to HR this morning. She said, well, I think that because they've got 4 new officers. She said, I think the chief might want, a couple of dates. So I don't know if he'd be willing to take 2 Mondays, because then later in the month, like the last Monday of the month, to do another one. So he said, she said that he wasn't sure if, if the scheduling would permit all of them to be there at one time, or if we had to break it up. But just excited. I guess this is done in other communities, and it's,
I think Uxbridge does it.
a lot of fun. So we're working on dates for that. And one thing that I just don't have here, and it's we haven't done it for many years, but it's having a program on coin collecting, and there's a program in the history of the cent, the 1 cent coin. And what we did in the past, people were able to come have things evaluated for free, one item for free. They could ask questions, and again, the history would be given first. And then if anybody wanted to perhaps do business with these folks, they'd have to do it outside of the center, not inside the center. So, but just to learn, what are your coins worth? Actually, I should just dig some of mine out of my jewelry boxes.
What about the photography class?
Okay.
Is that going to come again?
Yes. So photography, we're looking at Monday as a possibility because we have more things happening on Tuesdays, which is typically when I, have offered, he's been able to do it. He,
I did my photography pretty much.
Carolyn did beautiful work. So we were looking at, we're looking at Monday mornings, I think starting in May, it would be a 5-week session. Would Monday mornings work for you?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a couple other people, we've got some people that are, they've come to every single session. And I'm hoping that they'll be able to do a morning as opposed to they've been coming to an afternoon session. But
I just happened to be there. I was doing a meeting and I sat down and I was like, I wish I could sign up for this class.
Good. Oh, thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, I've been in contact with him. He said Monday mornings work. Just, I wanted to talk to some of the regulars to see if they work for them. Good, Donna. Thank you.
Okay.
And then I know Phil has something.
Okay. Now we're doing the bylaw review draft. Oh, Phil, I think you're on board.
Do you want to talk about?
What program there is? Oh, yeah, pass it out to teams. I want this to be a regular conversation. We're doing really good. Adding things in the evening. We're expanding our stuff, it's really good. Now, look at this calendar, which March is pretty busy. As an example, months. And I'm gonna spreadsheet on that. Don't do the eye charts brain. It'll drive you crazy. But a recap of the programs that are going on in March. On a weekly, bi-weekly or monthly basis. It looks at the upper floor and the lower floor. And it looks at the top box that goes across the top. Shows how many hours the center is open a day. Based on what's published in the website. 8.5, 8:30 to 3:30, so it's 7 hours a day. And it's Monday through Thursday, and then Fridays from 9 to noon. And that gives a total capacity of 31 hours roughly for two areas. The interesting thing, when I look at all the programs, saying each program is 2 hours, and I know they're not, but giving time for setup, and some being larger and some being smaller, that means on the upper floor, we have an average of 19 hours usage, so, but we have another 12 hours available. And I look at the building as a place for a community to come together, not as a place for people to go to work. Because it is a community building. The work needs to go on while you're there, but it's in between programs. And I look at the weeklies, and we have roughly 13 hours of programming a week, counting lunches, plus an average of 3 hours. That's that little circle box on the right, average of 3 hours for what happens once a month. Which means we have roughly 15 hours available that are current available for programming, which is, I think, is good. And then we also have evening, we have that one evening class, we also have evenings available. And to Amy's point, Tuesdays and Thursdays are very busy. Mondays, we have, is very non-busy. Wednesday is again a moderate day. Actually, it's not busy. I look at dine in or dine out as friends dine out, whatever Tom's thing is. And Panera is just activities where people just check in and check out.
Mhm.
It's not, it shouldn't be consuming a room. If it is, we need to figure out how to reconfigure. So I guess my point being, that we've been adding programs. I like that. It's great. I think the Friends have done a good job adding stuff. But this little guide, he tells you that Monday's an open day for us. Wednesday's got more room. And Friday's wide open in my opinion.
Can't this work against us though politically in the town? If you're coming out and saying we have all these hours that we're not filling
Yeah.
up, they're going to say, what do you need to expand for? Then?
Yes, they can. But I think we as a group need to sit down and say, and I know this is a public meeting, we as a group need to sit down and say, we have more utilization. We grapple sometimes, we'll put something in place a month from now, a quarter from now. We'll do it. We'll try it just as a once a month
Mhm.
or once a quarter. I'm saying there's capability here.
Yeah.
And we as a group need to aggressively say, hey, we got a program, let's go do it. That's all I'm saying. Because and Amy, I know you run the place and we have to juggle with this, but I look at it as a community building. And Monday's a wide open day for us, I think.
But it really isn't. I mean, the chorus takes over the building in the afternoon. Now, granted, it ebbs and flows because of, when we have programs. It's 2 hours, but you can't, it's, let's see, 12:30 to 2:30, sometimes 3, yeah, it could be 2 to 2.5 hours. But you can't do anything, for example, in the upper floor when that's going on, or very, very little.
Because we don't block off the stairwell, and so the music, in other words, it depends. If you wanted to work on a computer.
If you want to work on a computer, for
you could
sure.
do that.
For sure. Yeah, again, I'm honing in, trying to hone in on photography class Monday mornings. Get those going. Yeah, but that's good, some good
This meeting
ideas.
is every week, every Monday.
Every Monday. But it ends in the summer. In other words, they don't meet through the summer.
Yeah, July and August.
I guess I think there's capability there. We should
Yeah.
leverage it.
Technically, we're not open on Fridays. We moved the food pantry to Friday because Mondays, Carol remembers Mondays. There was so much going on in the building on Mondays that it was
Interest in privacy.
no privacy. So that's why we moved that there. And when I say open by appointment, that's usually for somebody that can't come on another day to do a fuel assistance application or something like that. And I know the Friends have their community community meeting, and now they're going to be doing their cooking program quarterly. And do you have the next date for that? The cooking or?
It would be June.
Okay.
The,
The last Friday of June.
if I look at, and I throw this out. The library, when they got extra staff hours, they will count, so that we. If you look at, they're open 7 days a week, I'm not sure exactly how many hours.
The library?
6 days. So they're open 6 days a week. That's a public service kind of thing, kind of like we are.
You should look at their hours though, because they're not, I don't think they're open 8 hours every day.
Oh, they're not. I don't believe, sometimes they open at like noon or something like that.
Yeah, but then they run until 7 and 8 o'clock.
They're not open 6 full days.
So I was there Monday night.
Yeah, they're in the evening, they go to 7.
Yeah. we
And
were
they have
there,
events, yeah, to go till later
Well,
than that.
they do the craft groups as well in the evening.
But I guess I just look at these things, and I know we say we got a lot of stuff on our plate, And I hear that, but if we work smarter, delegate people who do different things, I think we can get more programs, more activity. And what do we hear for the interaction with seniors? And maybe, I figured I'd raise a few eyebrows on that, but that's fine. Quick analysis.
I'm just thinking, and maybe you can answer this, how many seniors actually come in for activities as early as 8:30? Because what I hear all the time is it's so early in the morning, can I have a later appointment? I lived
But
through that.
I also think that's probably for the administrative staff, that's their.
For the what's,
For the administrative staff, that's Amy, Jen and Shauna, that's their half hour to get, their day started.
But like exercise, we have kind of a little bit of a tug of war. I've got one person that wants all the exercise programs like Tai Chi at 9 o'clock. And then we've got other people that are like, can we have it later in the day? I still have people that are like, why can't you do things in the afternoon? And last year we tried offering a couple of Tai Chi classes in the afternoon and we just didn't get the response.
Yeah,
So
I think it depends on the age category that we're dealing with.
Yeah.
For different activities.
we are listening. I don't know if anybody read that in the newsletter. We are listening. We are trying, offering another Tai Chi. Unfortunately, we're gonna probably have to forego our Qigong class. Just little by little, and that was a pretty strong class for a number of years. But, for whatever reason, if people are finding that they prefer Tai Chi over Qigong, they've got to do one or the other. They can't do both, or I'm not quite sure.
are there any outside agencies that would be interested in using a upstairs space from like 8:30 to 9:30 or
In the
something?
morning?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I mean, because nothing starts upstairs to what, like, is that like 9?
It's just 9:45.
Yeah, I mean, if they wanted to have a meeting,
Maybe, maybe.
again, you want to show usage, you want to show that it's being used.
Yeah, but I think. We have a whole age gap that we haven't addressed, which is next meetings. We have the 70 plus.
Yep.
And but we have the 60s range and the younger generation, 50s range, we've got very little, if any.
But most of them are working still, even
Right.
people,
The 60s are working
But I guess.
or babysitting.
My
or babysitting.
my thought being there is that look at the center as a building. Evening programs which we started, I think that's a perfect area to target more evening programs.
So last fall, we did a lot of insurance programs in the evening, which target the 60-year-olds. And we'll do that again. Those are kind of cyclical. We did two in the fall. We'll do,
I'm just saying,
yep.
more and many.
Could there be?
Another way of
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Another way of looking at it though, could be instead of trying to fill up those 15 hours, if we come up with a creative or new program and whatever, we can then go back to this and say we could squeeze it in somewhere because we do have 15 hours that are open and we can move things around a little bit. I like that idea better than trying to see what we can do to fill up all the 15 hours.
John had a,
I was getting any more evening exercise classes, that would bring more younger people too.
yeah, and that was the class that, are you taking it this year?
I didn't get there yet, but I am.
So we just started,
Class.
Yeah.
started the evening yoga class
Is
and,
that full?
I think there are 9 people signed up. You had already signed up.
I signed up, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's one more space. So again, the space only allows so much when
Right.
people are lying down on the floor. A woman had called the other day and left a message saying, I work, I saw this advertised in the newsletter. I'd like to come. Can I come? I wasn't in Monday. So I got the message, called her back. She showed up. She said, I took a chance. I showed up. She was welcomed into the class. She was thrilled that, I reached back out to her, but she said, I'm still working. The time will come. So yeah, for perhaps another evening exercise.
Certainly, if it's more than 10, it's too crowded.
It is too crowded.
Well, that's where you need to start thinking about Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
If
See, the one thing we're juggling too is we've got the Girl Scouts. So
Yeah, the Girl Scouts come in at what, 4?
Yeah, I've got the Girl Scouts, I've got those things. This is just a roadmap.
Yeah, yeah.
So you say, okay, let's just be creative in our thinking on how we do these things. So we get the demographic.
so what you're saying also is somebody is needed to be at the building, unlock the doors, lock the doors.
I think the evening classes and the guests.
Same with the community groups are able to access the key.
Yeah.
And
So
come into the
there's a lot
building.
of people that have access.
I tend to work Tuesday nights, so I mean, I'd be all in favor of having a program Tuesday.
We got the
nights.
lockbox
Yeah,
outside.
we have the lockbox.
There's a structure we could, like, for people who know.
Those are some good ideas.
All right. Well, I see you put a lot of work into this stuff, eh?
When do you find the time and then go on vacation?
I'm busy. That's a lot of,
Your inside decorations aren't up yet.
that's true, that's not organic.
St. Patrick's ones, I hope.
So Easter.
Where am I?
Anywhere orange, because the flag is 3 colors. All right, okay, reminder about the conflict of interest, Amy.
Oh, you're skipped over by.
Oh, bylaw, I'm sorry.
Dropped off the, for everybody.
Yes, thank
It
you.
was Earl, Phil and I. Did anybody else stay with us? That's right.
I wasn't.
Earl, Phil and I stayed for.
Right.
Oh, that was after last month's meeting.
Last meeting, yeah. Sarah, would you like to speak to these or? Okay, all right. So, the 4 of us met and this is something that, has to be done. This is just the first draft. And then, so has Carl seen it yet? Yeah. Okay. And Carl's on the bylaw review committee. Okay. So we met and we're tweaking the old bylaws that were, how many years old were they? So 30 or something. I mean, they referred to the chairpersons as, I think, was it president,
And
vice president? And so we tweaked that. I wanted to ask it, so the, let's see, to create a council on aging, and to adopt the following bylaws in accordance, this is the, under the section 8 of the bylaws. To create a council on aging and to adopt the following bylaws in accordance with the provisions of chapter 40, section 8B in the Massachusetts general laws. So section 8.1, the select board shall appoint an advisory council on aging for the purpose of, is that supposed to say coordinating, or it says coordinating, should be coordinating to think. Okay, probably coordinating
I think it probably is coordinated.
and
too.
carrying out the programs designed to meet the problems of the aging in cooperation with the programs of the Commission on Aging established under chapter 6, section 73 of the Massachusetts general laws. It's a mouthful, but, yes.
Wait a minute. Okay,
Could,
I'd say the challenges rather than the
I
problems.
was gonna say challenges or needs rather than.
Yeah. Or needs, or challenges or needs, probably
Which would
need.
you prefer?
I don't care. Needs is fine.
Needs, okay. Needs. Section 8.2, the select board shall appoint a council on aging consisting of 7 members. Upon acceptance of this bylaw, the board shall appoint 3 members for 3-year terms, 2 members for 2-year terms, and 2 members for 1-year terms. The members of the council shall serve without pay. In addition, non-voting auxiliary members can attend. So that, we added that. correct?
Yes, you should, because we have
Yes,
2.
We have 2. And so this designation here was for the initial creation of this board, because now you don't all come on, you all have.
We need
3-year terms.
continuity. We need some core members each
Right,
time.
but this was to start it. To start it, it was doing 3, 2, 1. Now you're all 3, 3, 3. When your
Right.
term comes up, if you choose to be considered for a appointment, it would be for a 3-year term, unless you're filling the space
The
of someone.
vacancy,
The
yeah.
vacancy. So, but we still kept the original wordage there.
Okay, good.
Section 8.3, whenever a vacancy shall occur, the membership of the council by reason of, membership of the council by reason of death, resignation, inability to act, or for any other reason, the vacancy shall be filled by appointment by the select board for the remainder of the term, giving preference to non-voting auxiliary members for the purpose of contributing to the
Perfect.
Council on Aging mission.
That's what it should be.
That's what it should be.
That's correct.
Yes. The Council on Aging, section 8.4, the Council on Aging at its first annual meeting and thereafter annually in September of each year shall elect from its membership. And this, I'm just a little bit kind of confused because we have a chairperson, co-chair, secretary, and treasurer. We want to some way find out we either a chairperson or the co-chairs, which I think have worked out.
Can't you say like, say a chairperson, like and or co-chairs?
And Karen, will you see if that meets with their and or co-chairs?
Well, we're two people, but we're co-chairs.
Or how about 2 co-chairs? Can you say 2 co-chairs?
I think the committee, I do, the one I had, I'm the chair, but I'm gonna co-chair, we just want an operation. He backs me up, I back him up.
So chair and co-chair?
Chair and co-chair, that applies to people.
That doesn't make sense to me, though.
Yeah, because one would be,
Co means like two, or,
yes.
right, we have no vice
Okay,
president.
so maybe if you put in lieu of, somehow incorporated that it would be a co-chair in lieu of vice president, that might clear up
Vice chair.
vice chair.
Vice chair.
Secretary and treasurer.
Secretary and treasurer. Each officer shall hold the office for until the next annual election. In the event of a vacancy, occurs in any of the office above, the Council on Aging shall hold a special meeting for the purpose of electing one of its members to
Phil,
fill
FIL.
such vacancy. Okay. Section 8.5, the council shall prepare and submit an annual report of its activities to the town and shall send a copy thereof to the Commission on Aging. Okay. Section 8.6, I don't recall what that was, but whatever it was deleted. I think it was deleted before us.
That's what it said.
Yeah, from 04. Okay. And then section 8.7, Council on Aging has the ability to present annually the state of the council to the select board. Bill, did we tweak that a bit? Yeah. To that effect.
Yeah, we changed it to the ability to present rather than will present.
Right. Right. So just tweaking that.
So we're gonna do on 8.4 in lieu of vice chair?
So it could be a chairperson. Well, it almost could be chairperson, vice chair, or co-chairs. Because you're still, so after, say the 2 of you retire from this position, the next group to come along may want to have the chair and vice chair. Yeah. Don't go anywhere anytime soon.
We live near each other.
Yeah.
Where are we gonna go?
Anybody have any suggestions on that? I think we have to leave it open so that there can be.
Yeah, there could be you could go back to just one
Chair,
and a vice
vice
chair
chair, or, how about that?
or co-chairs.
Or
Chairperson.
chairperson. Vice chair,
Chair,
or 2 co-chairs.
right.
How's that sound, Karen?
Membership, a chairperson and chair, co-chair, or co-chair, two co-chairs. You could only have two you can't have three co-chairs.
No, co means two.
Yeah.
Do you think Carl might have any suggestions for that?
I will.
Thank you for doing it, you three. I know you stayed after the meeting last month to get it done.
I think our timing is good. So this needs, Karen, needs to be done so that it can be voted on at the annual meeting, is that correct?
Right, I don't know if it's gonna be,
Okay,
right?
oh, so maybe the special town meeting in the fall, okay. And again, yeah, thank you for keeping us on track.
All right, okay, I'm gonna move on then to, the conflict of interest
So just so you know, I'll tell you, it was so much easier when we got the notice, like, yes, so you all need to do it in January. So what happened is, based on when anybody did it last year, that affects when you're gonna get the notice this year. So like, I still never got mine. I never got my notice, but I was told, Amy, you're due. So I did.
Yeah, I got mine right away.
Sometimes you, like Earl, for example, Earl, you're due April 9th, I believe.
So I'll get something April 9th?
You're supposed to, but you should really get it like
Ahead of time.
like almost a month in advance.
Yeah.
Carol, I mean, she didn't give me your date or Donna's. I think Donna, I think you're, no, she did give me yours, Carol. Donna, I think you ended up doing, I don't know if you ended up doing it in June. I think I remember her telling me that yours was due in June. And I'm like, why can't they all just be?
I know. At the same time
At the
again,
same
like,
time.
who cares if I did it in June, I'll just do it
Right.
in January.
Right. And then.
So are we gonna get an email?
Yeah, so what I'm gonna do, I will send you a link. She said, she did this for Anne, because Anne was concerned. So she sent Anne a link, boom, Anne was able to get in there, do it. This one, it's not just simply signing off like we did previously. It is a short, I want to say it's a short, would you say short, maybe 10-minute
Yeah,
video or
and it's
something?
like, there's like two pieces of paper you have to sign. Don't just sign one, there's like two.
Right,
You have to
right.
have your
So
signature.
yeah, so I will get that link.
It prompts you.
So you're gonna send,
I'll send you all the links. So Carol, you weren't due till April 21st.
Is
Diane's March, you're past due March, actually today, you're March 11th.
Okay,
So, but have you gotten one? But
I don't go out and look at my town email.
So
I don't look at the town, I don't have my.
So I know last year, you said, Earl, that yours came to your personal email.
yes, but I didn't get it this year.
Yeah.
And I think mine came to my personal email. So it's been a long time. I think I did it a couple months ago.
You did it several months ago, but so anyway, and Phil, I'm not sure when yours is.
Somebody sent me something.
You know what? Actually, I think she said because you're on other boards, she thought, I think you're done.
Maybe it covers you all.
Well, one has a.
Yeah, did you do it for capital planning or for?
Nobody keeps track of these things.
So what happens is when you do it, she gets a notification.
I give it to her anyway.
Oh, okay, you don't,
I CC you and her.
and you don't need to, but
I
I,
know, but
I
I
appreciate you
covered
letting me
my
know.
butt.
So anyway, I'm sorry, we're probably,
Swain, is mine done?
no, yours is gonna be coming due April 21st.
And Amy, didn't I do mine up at the senior center?
You did, because remember, you had to run home to your home computer while I was there. We had to kind of work something out because of the password issue.
Yeah.
So,
It's you're handling all
yeah,
of this.
yeah. So I just wanted, because I know people have been saying, when am I due? When am I due? And, Karen and Kathy have something to look forward to when their time comes. Oh, you
So
do.
then you'd be fine.
Have you done yours already?
Yes,
Okay. Did you get the
I
email?
got an email on town,
Yeah.
yeah,
I'll go home and check my town
Okay.
email.
and there was a test me.
I know, it wasn't like the one before where you just had to sign. But it was brief,
It was brief.
It was like 10 minutes as opposed to an hour.
Right.
So next year will be an hour. Next year will be an hour.
Yesterday I did this.
Maybe I'll resign.
But then we'll have to have another vote. All right. Okay, new business, administrative update, Friends of Mendon Elders, the memorandum of understanding. What?
No, administrative update.
Oh, that's a
This
different
is
one.
from Jeremy. Jeremy had a department head meeting last week. It was fairly brief. But I just wanted to make you aware that, his wife's due date is today.
Oh.
You know how children are. So, but what he does when he and his wife have their child, he'll be taking 2 weeks, right now and 6 weeks later in the summer. Jen O'Neill will be, the acting, she'll be in charge, in his stead. Let's see, and thank you, Phil. Phil had made us aware that, the town has created its first newsletter. Just wanted to make you aware of some of the things that he talked to us about. They are trying to, I don't know if they've done so, but they've been doing interviews to fill the, administrative assistant position.
Katie's position.
Yeah, and it's gonna be now an administrative assistant as opposed to an executive assistant. His hope would be to combine HR, part of HR with an assistant town administrator position. I don't know if it's gonna happen. I guess the select board have to, vote on that. So it would be this position here, the administrative assistant, would be decreasing the hours, I think, from 40 to 32, something like that. He just talked about meeting with, went over our budgets have been submitted for all the departments. He did talk about an override will be needed. Okay. And let's see, he did talk about insurance for the town for employees is going up significantly.
I think everybody says,
Right, everybody says. Yeah, so I just wanted to make you aware of kind of where he is at. And today he was meeting, I think HR and he were meeting with Jake Auchincloss over at the Blessing Barn Coffee Cafe or whatever they have. So yeah, he's been busy, but I'm sure when the time comes, Jen will be in charge.
all right, that's it for administrative updates?
Yes.
Okay, Friends of Mendon Elders, memorandum of understanding, establish a committee to review.
Just,
Want us to pass them around?
yeah.
Oh, no. Voila.
All right.
And I apologize, Karen, when I made copies of this is the first one from the computer. The word draft doesn't appear on any of the copies. I meant to write it, I apologize, I meant to write it on the top. Isn't that strange?
Yeah.
You can see it here.
Yeah.
Right, so we want to read this to ourselves, is that what we're doing, are we going in?
Karen, do you have a suggestion?
Why don't you handle that, seeing it's yours?
I would think that you want to get together, get a small committee together to review whether or not, to review the document and evaluate the Council on Aging's portion of it. And then come back to the Friends with any questions, comments, concerns, and then we'll work on, when we do the final document, send it out to everybody. I just don't know that you want to hire up all these people from them.
So this is something new, I take it, right?
Yes, this is to avoid any confusion relative to expenditures and how funds are transferred as well as accountability. That's one of my main focuses. And so in order to improve accountability for funding for things, there's tracking involved in this document that was not there before.
Well, I would like everybody on the council's opinion, so why don't we just can we take like 10, can we do this in 10 minutes, do you think? Read it and go over it?
It's not a long document.
Right, let's take the time now
We're here.
while everybody's here. Okay. All right. You want me to read it aloud? Okay, I'll read it aloud. Okay, this memorandum of understanding outlines the cooperative relationship between the Friends of the Mendon Elders and the Mendon Council on Aging, and defines the financial support the Friends may provide to enhance programs, services, and activities that benefit Mendon's older adult population. The goal of this partnership is to clearly outline the relationship between the Friends and the COA to help ensure that Mendon seniors have access to high-quality programs, resources, and opportunities that promote health, social engagement, and overall well-being. I don't have a problem with anything so far myself. And if anybody does, just shout it out. Okay, roles and responsibilities. The Friends agree to financial support. The Friends may provide financial assistance for the following items predicated on the availability of Friends funds, approval of the Friends board, and the exhaustion of grant and other third-party funding. Okay, I suppose I have to go simpler on that. In other words, you can provide financial support if the funds are available. The approval of the Friends Board, but also we have to exhaust any other potential funding first. Am I right about that? Okay. Programs and activities that is included under this: fitness, wellness, and educational programs, speakers, workshops, and instructional classes, social events, holiday events, and special gatherings, and refreshments for program and activities if applicable. Supplies. Program materials and supplies for crafts and event materials. Postage assistance for bulk mailings, which takes care of the newsletters and things like that. All right, anything about that anybody has a question on?
So, as those things are listed, programs and activities, or for example, supplies, postage assistance with the Friends, I mean, does COA still have to go before the Friends to ask for?
If it's in the memorandum, well, yeah, if it's in the memorandum of, after this is worked through and approved, we need to come up with a simplified document that's gonna enhance our ability to do this, but these things all need, expenses all need to go, just like your expenses all need to go through the committee. All of our expenses have to go through the board and then a general membership. So we need to have some sort of documentation. So when you get, last year, I think you got the invoice for the bulk mailing and passed it on to me. So along with that invoice, there would just be a memorandum that, there would just be a note that says this is for the bulk mailing for the senior scene or whatever it's called, and that it would be used for no other purpose unless another request is made, so that we know what the money is going for.
It's a paper trail. It's a paper trail.
I'm not comfortable presenting things to the board and then finding out that, you know, it was used for something else. So then I'm lying to my.
You need an auditable trail.
Yep. An audit trail is what I'm looking for.
Okay, all right. Transportation support for trips, excursions, and transportation-based programs. Would that be something we'd be asking them for?
I think just recently it was considered. They were looking
Okay,
for-
Is that referring?
I don't know, I need a clarification on that.
Last year, we provided funds for a trip, because they didn't have enough people going. They would have had to cancel.
All right, but that wouldn't be coming from us, right? Why would that be
I was
coming from
told
us?
that the trips are a senior center activity, not a Friends activity. So that's what.
But who did somebody must have, let's say you needed 20 people and you had 18. So you were looking for funds for two of the empty seats, or someone was.
To provide funds so that they had enough money submitted so that the trip could continue.
Why would that be us though? Am I missing something? Why would that be us?
The travel committee is under the Council on Aging. I was told
Travel-
not the Friends.
The travel committee had always been under the Council on Aging. It's kind of morphed over the years depending upon who the participants were. You know, if they were a Friends member, it became part of your agenda.
And do you draw the line with how many vacancies you're going to allow before the trip gets canceled? In other words, okay, you know,
If I remember rightly, it was one. I put one person. So that,
If you're 15 short, then it's.
Yeah, it's a no-go.
But I'm just wondering if there's a limit. I mean, I don't know. This is new to me. I don't know. Is it
Yeah.
new?
That's true, somebody came. No, yeah. They came to you, right?
And so what the Friends paid last year?
you paid for one person, so
You
they
did.
got.
Okay.
So
Person.
there's a trip account that is in the name of the Friends. I think the Friends have always taken, over the years, long before I came.
We don't sign, no one on the board signs on that account. I think it's just Bev and,
The
well, I
treasurer.
shouldn't say no one on the board, Nancy signs on that account. And Bev, I don't know whether Diane is on it as well, but it doesn't have any, it is a separate and distinct account, as I understand. It doesn't show up on any of my records.
Would it be better?
So it's a pass-through account.
Would it be better on the transportation support if it read that the Friends are open to support for trips and excursions and transportation when they are not able to be
Says that at the
killed
beginning.
on their own?
Says that at the beginning, that they'll decide. They're very limited ones, right?
Yeah.
It says that.
It has to go through board.
Oh, so-
Not the Friends, the COA board.
Friends board,
The Friends board.
they're asking us to pay for it.
Yeah, the Friends Board. If assistance is needed,
I just can never remember being told any of,
No,
No, this is-
me either.
This is why we're doing the audit, because it has been done very much.
Yeah, has been catched as catch can.
Right.
It needs to have a home.
Hmm?
This request, type needs to have a home, Laura.
Yes.
Amy, your opinion on this, only because I'm really in the dark on this.
well, I think the fact that they're willing to consider it, but they have to consider, I think this is all about, they can consider it, they can vote on it if they have the funds, and then, yeah, and if, if they've looked through we've looked through other alternatives, because I think, and again, that one thing, the trip was gonna be canceled if, for one person, and I can't remember.
But are we an alternate source? In other words, are we a source that has to be exhausted first?
Then that's something we have to discuss.
That's something for your committee to discuss.
Yep, that's why I put it on here as well. I think the COA needs to.
So I was reading that this coming year, there's a lot of trips.
3 or 4, actually, I think.
Yeah. One of them is
So I think
in June.
so that's for transportation support, okay, that's.
The other way to look at it is, these are the types of things that Friends will invest in.
Correct.
So,
It
because
says made checks payable to the Friends of the Mendon Elders.
It doesn't, it's a separate account. It goes into a separate account. It will not show on our operating budget.
So who's in charge of the trips?
The council on Beverly, but it's organized through the
Diane.
council on aging, not. the
Diane's
Friends.
on there. I put it on their meetings, the bank manager can sign checks. I don't know that Beverly can sign checks, I'm not sure.
I think that can.
So I go back to my original statement then, so aren't you saying then, if needed, you are open to discussing the possibility? And maybe that would be more,
The Friends may provide the.
That's what it says in the
The
first.
Friends may provide financial
They provide,
assistance, may.
yeah.
So they decide.
These are some different categories that they're
Okay.
willing to consider.
I'm just worried that we are considered to be like obligated before the Friends pay for a
Well,
trip.
we haven't talked about that. I mean, I don't know how the Friends feel about that. And I think I put the gift account on the agenda. So the COA does need to, talk about how it's gonna use the gift account. funds.
Okay,
okay, as we're going through this, and this is one thing that should be started and saying we need to.
yeah,
No, I mean, they're willing to consider it. It's not saying that they're going to, but I think it's.
but they're considering it when everything else has been
Okay,
exhausted.
then
Bye,
that's-
Don.
So
Thank
that's
you,
the
sorry.
exhaustion part you're talking about then.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, not the fact that it's transportation.
no, not that it's transportation, it's like, well, Why, but I didn't realize that it fell under our jurisdiction. I've never heard that before.
Oh, I don't know that they exactly said that. They're just saying, are there sources for payment? It doesn't say that the COA has to.
Just
And
says make
so-
checks payable to the principal vendor
Yeah.
members.
I think it's gonna take some time to digest this, and then also the COA gift account. you
All
know.
right, so I'm gonna just put like a little asterisk on it. All right, let's go, all right, special funding activities, hardship assistance or subsidies for seniors who are unable to afford program fees. Okay, and they would go to you directly on that? Okay. Scholarship program.
There's a needs issue there, so, Jen,
Yeah.
I guess, would be involved in that. That would be a
And
conversation.
myself, yeah.
All right,
The activities, like the yoga on Monday night and things like that. Who does that go through?
People that attend the classes.
Right, and the checks are made payable
To
directly to pay Kennedy.
Yes,
So that's separate, that doesn't really include
that's
friends.
correct.
because some of them may not be seniors.
That's correct.
Correct.
So you're not
This is-
offering anything on, in other words, if somebody
This
from,
is just seniors.
okay, I got it. Okay, scholarship program for Mendon resident high school students. Okay, that's totally through you. Augment non-operational funds for items necessary to the senior population for which the town is unable to provide funding. Written and supporting documentation from the COA must be provided to initiate this request. Friends Board will review and render a decision on a case-by-case basis. Approved augmentation funding will be for a specific funding year and does not reflect an ongoing commitment. Okay, that's pretty clear. Fundraising, the Friends will conduct fundraising activities to generate revenue for the above purposes, including fairs, raffles, appeals, grant applications, and community events. Review and approval. The COA director or designee will submit written funding requests on a form agreed upon by both parties. And the Friends Board will review all requests and vote on approval at a regular or special meeting. No expenditure shall be made without a formal vote by the Friends Board. And the Friends will maintain accurate financial records and operate in accordance with the IRS requirements. Okay. So there's going to be no emergency situation then, because it has to be voted on by your board and everything. So if there's an emergency, that's not
We'll call.
called a special meeting.
I want to try to eliminate fire drills.
Right.
Just what fire drills.
Kind of like, okay, you didn't,
Yeah.
keep coming to you with
Yeah.
emergencies is what you need.
You know, somebody on the board comes into the senior center and somebody says, we need this, or can we do this, or can we do that? Well, the answer is probably yes, but.
It has to be
needs
followed
go- Yes.
The channels,
Yes.
I got that. Okay, we agree, the Mendon Council on Aging agrees to identify program needs that may be eligible for financial support from the Friends, that's fine. Submit written request, funding requests with sufficient detail, cost estimates, and program justification. You'll have to define that for me, program justification. Maybe I just don't like the word.
Taxes, you have to pay for somebody to come in for taxes, and nobody is, there's not a grant, or there's no other mechanism for payment, and it's not free. Then we need documentation that says this is how many seniors are attending, this is the purpose of the meeting and what the benefit is. So it's not an onerous,
Will you be coming up with I don't know, Carolyn, if you previously had a simple form, would you be coming up with a simple form that we can,
that's, I
in the work?
think I put in the document that would be something that the COA and the Friends would work on together, so that it can. It
Appreciate
meets
that.
our needs and it's not onerous on the part of the Council on Aging.
Thank you.
Use all funds provided by the Friends solely for the approved purpose, supported by the necessary receipts and expense records, including participation information. Disbursement tracking for cash transactions such as gift cards will be provided within 30 days of event and if applicable refunds provided. Right? Acknowledge the friends in promotional materials, newsletters, event signage, and public communications when their support makes a program or purchase possible. I know we do that now. You always say this is based on that. Communicate regularly with the friends regarding upcoming needs, program outcomes, and opportunities for collaboration. Joint responsibilities, both parties agree to Friends, Executive Board, and Senior Center Director and Chairs of Council on Aging will meet quarterly to discuss shared goals, financial needs, and program planning.
Amy and I both have such.
Okay. Maintain open communication and work collaboratively to improve services for Mendon seniors. Avoid any commitments that fall outside the mission of either organization. Review this memorandum of understanding annually and make revisions as agreed upon. And the limitations, the Friends exist to supplement, not replace, municipal or state funding for the COA. Friends are not responsible for salaries, wages, benefits, or any other employment-related expenses of COA staff. All financial support is contingent upon available resources, and either party may terminate this within 30 days of written notice.
Under joint responsibilities, is this happening now? Friends, Executive and Senior Center Director will meet quarterly.
We haven't, that's one of the things we
This,
thought in the past, we would like to begin to initiate that, and Amy and I had one meeting.
Right. Does anybody on the council want to be the representative on this committee? Does anybody, including our auxiliary members, does anyone have an interest in this? No? Okay, well, I guess it's one of us then, or we'll talk about it.
And we can talk, as far as without having a quorum, we can
Right.
talk.
Okay. All right. All right. So, all right.
Very thorough.
We'll let you know if it's Earl or I. Yeah, I think it's pretty clear.
What do we have an age?
60 and up.
Seniors?
The legal age to be declared as senior is age 60.
Is 60?
So maybe we should put 60, the age in here somewhere or not? Or we'll save that for our meeting when we meet.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, very good. Thank you for doing that. Gift account use is okay, Amy?
And again, this is something I think a small committee to talk about initially.
All right.
What is-
You want to establish a committee to determine what is appropriate for gift account uses?
Yeah, suggestions.
Anybody anybody interested in that committee?
Uses.
Carol would be a good one on it.
Establish a committee if needed. Yeah, I could be on that.
All right, so that will be Carol.
Where are those funds coming from?
We have them in our account.
Yeah.
Oh, from our gift account.
Yeah.
Edgar Earl.
Can I be on that one?
I can be on that one.
Yeah.
That's where the bottle of cans money is going.
Yeah.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, did you want to raise, I'll have that in open forum. Pen pal, you have some dates and
Yeah, so
updates?
just so you know, today, one of our senior pen pals is moving. So today, that senior pen pal is over at Ladensville Christian School having pizza with their pen pal.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah.
And when is
Carol-
ours?
Ours, we're meeting with the principal tomorrow.
Okay.
To discuss the date. We will get that notice out as possible.
Okay, open forum. I don't have anything. Earl, do you have anything?
No,
Diane? No.
You said that you were going to bring it up in our report
Oh,
about
well, you bring it up for me. Talked out.
the gift account. I didn't see it in the newsletter that was no longer going for transport.
No, I need help coming up with that wordage.
All right, so that's Earl and I, or is it all members?
No.
All right, we will get that done. Because I know it's been like a ping pong ball going back and forth. So we will do that. We'll stay 2 minutes later just to get a date to get together for
Yep.
that.
In the volunteer.
Yes, but Donna left, so I'll have to do it by email or by phone or which way.
Okay.
I'll get some dates from you.
Okay.
Nothing, Kathy? Karen? Kathy? Kathy, Karen, hold on. We're gonna mix up these Ks. Yeah, the K corner. Carol?
Yeah.
Phil?
Yep.
Yeah, of course he does. Break his hand.
Maybe the small one?
Yep.
We threw out in the budget, and Dan was talking about it, Jerry. Is there funds to get a larger one? And the reason I ask is our history events start at the end of the month.
Mhm.
And the Woonsocket group is wanting to do a video. And it'd be nice if we had a smart TV to handle, so I'm not sure what it's at.
Yeah, no, I've got, and I think the size is questionable, I know you're going for big. I know Sean and I are like, saying,
Well, the costs are different.
yeah, oh, no, it's not a cost, but it's a matter of, it's gonna
We were
be,
talking about that last month, at the meeting too.
yes, yeah, so Dan worked something out where he got a TV from next door, a stand from down at the parks, it's too small, it'll be good for, like, we have a program starting in April, it would be fine for that to do a PowerPoint for, say, 12 people, on that small TV where you're following along, but for something bigger, perhaps.
Is there a place where all of these multiple TVs can be stored and when we need it, we could bring it?
No.
ATV, what you're willing to do, the program is that people can see it.
The one on the stand can go upstairs.
Yeah, I think the one on the stand is too small for upstairs. If we're gonna do a TV upstairs, we should get rid of I don't know how to get that big one down, but put something bigger up there for movies and whatnot, but, it's gonna need to go on the wall, and I think
So what are you thinking, like this 50-inch, 70-inch, you gotta go big.
At least as big as that one.
no.
56, 70,
I think
exactly, like
that's too
looking
big.
up here.
No, we'll take that
Bigger,
one.
bigger than that.
Right, and we have a space on the wall that it's gonna go on
Yeah,
safely,
don't-
safely.
We don't want, by the bathroom doors would not be necessarily
No.
appropriate, so the wall above the piano, that smaller
Yeah,
piano.
if
is
the
a
piano,
possibility.
okay.
And then there's a smaller wall, but that would, near the stairs, where there's a bulletin board, but that could only accommodate what did we figure, were you there? Dan measured it yesterday.
So where would you put it on the lower level so people see
You put it in the
it?
piano, it's kind of a small piano, it would go on the wall there, between the two windows.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
The piano that gets used.
Yeah,
What do you think?
yeah, and that would be the best bet.
You don't want it between the two bathrooms,
Yeah.
because then you're
No.
watching it,
I mean, it's a
going in
perfect
and out.
wall, it's just too bad that there are bathrooms there. I can just see people getting out, flushing the toilet.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, this TV would not be used all the time, but when you're having an event or whatever.
Have you seen the TVs that can be a work of art when they're not in use? I love that.
It's nice, I don't know.
Hey, you'll have YouTube on it, you'll be able to do the Christmas music,
Yeah.
you're gonna buy your stuff.
Oh, yeah, the fireplace would be
You
kind
can,
of.
that can be your music all the time.
So Carolyn, you're suggesting that we say, oh, vote yes.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
go for it.
Yeah, I'll talk to Jeremy and see where,
My only question is, size is important in this case, because visually, I don't see as well as I did before, without my glasses. And in my house, I have large TVs because I won't be able to see it. And if we shortcut because we think it might be a little bit better size device, we're defeating the purpose of why we need a bigger TV. It's not because size is a status thing, they're all about the same price. 60 to 85 is all the same dollars.
Yeah.
The important things, internet connectivity, smart TV. Bluetooth would be nice, which is a smart TV, and have plug-in adapters so somebody can plug in their laptop. Or a phone, similar to what we have here.
And good soundbar, so that people whose hearing isn't what it used to be can also hear.
Yeah, so I mean, I just throw it out as requirements, you guys can figure it out. Don't spend money on something that doesn't work.
right,
That's my only question.
well, we'll definitely get in touch with you before. Now, Dan's been good about, researching these things too, but get in
I
touch
just
with
want to
you.
make sure he understands.
That will,
So who approves this?
You gotta work with Jeremy. I guess.
yeah, I'll talk to Jeremy.
See if Jeremy can.
They were very receptive at our evening meeting about
They
that too.
They were,
I felt like we should have had a laundry list of things.
Yeah, we might have filled it back. Feel bad.
All right, anything in open forum?
Nope.
One last one,
Oh, okay.
one last one, we don't have to talk about it here, but think about it. Several meetings came up, select board meeting, I was at one time. They have talked about it in the hallway one time. There's programs being driven by parks, by the library, and by COA. Very much common similarities. And it would be good to have a working committee with the three organizations to talk about, if I'm doing Mahjong, and the parks wants to do Mahjong, help me figure out how to do that collectively.
Parks need to be doing pickleball.
I understand. That's, you should be on that committee.
Oh, yeah, how many committees? I'll never be home.
But I just.
That might work.
My last topic, bring it up.
No, but I understand what you're saying. It's a collaborative.
No, Dan brought it up to me.
Yeah, that does make sense. That does make sense.
And that's one person from each place.
Yeah, and over the years, before the library had this location, we collaborated a lot because they used our facility, you know, but we've always had a very good working relationship with them. So,
So anyway, just like.
Yeah, that, I agree to that. I agree that that's important.
Cool. I just like to see.
Amy, you got nothing?
No.
All right, I'm adjourning, 12 o'clock. Thank you all. I know it was extremely long. You'll get her all back next month. All right, give me a couple of dates.